Hello friends. Welcome to the Saiyan What Ifs. How are you all? So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Goku mastered Hakai before God Ki. Also be sure to subscribe and like this video. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. The Forbidden Power. The hyperbolic time chamber stretched endlessly in all directions, its pristine white void broken only by the small living quarters that anchored Goku to some semblance of reality. 7 months had passed in this realm, mere hours in the world outside, since he'd made the decision that would alter the course of his life and the fate of multiple universes. The choice had seemed simple at the time: keep training rather than remain dead after the Cell Games. Just a little while longer, he'd told Chi-Chi, ruffling Gohan's hair with paternal pride. Our boy saved the world, but there's something I need to understand better. That something remained frustratingly elusive, a phantom sensation at the edges of his awareness ever since his brief death and resurrection. Like catching a familiar scent that vanishes before you can identify it, or hearing your name called in a crowded room only to find no one there. Goku stood motionless in the white expanse, his orange eye darkened with sweat, eyes closed in concentration. The chamber's oppressive gravity pressed down on his muscles. But after months of adaptation, he barely noticed the physical strain anymore. The mental one, however. Come on, he whispered to himself, it was right there during the fight with Cell. What was it? His consciousness expanded outward as he'd been taught long ago on Yardrat, feeling for the key signatures that normally filled his perception. Here, in this pocket dimension, there was nothing but emptiness, which should have made it easier to focus, not harder. A tremor ran through his body as his concentration slipped again. With a frustrated sigh, Goku opened his eyes and drew PPED to a sitting position on the immaculate floor. The void seemed to mock him with its emptiness today. Maybe I should have stayed dead after all, he murmured, immediately feeling guilty for the thought. He had a family waiting for him. Friends, responsibilities, but also this maddening sense that he'd brushed against something profound during those final moments with Cell, something beyond Super Saiyan. Beyond even the ascended state Gohan had achieved. His stomach growled loudly, the sound echoing across the endless white. Guess that's enough for today, Goku chuckled to himself, rising to his feet. Even Saiyans couldn't train on empty stomachs. He made his way toward the living quarters, the only structure in this dimension of nothingness. As he approached the simple building, nothing unusual caught his peripheral vision, a flicker of something. Darkness perhaps, a ripple in the otherwise perfect white. Curiosity piqued, Goku changed direction. In all his time using the hyperbolic time chamber, he'd never seen any disturbance in the void itself. The anomaly seemed to shift as he approached, sometimes visible, sometimes not, like trying to focus on a floater in your eye. What are you? Goku muttered, reaching toward the distortion. His fingertips touched nothing but air, yet the visual disturbance intensified, spreading like ripples in a pond. The hairs on his arms stood up, responding to some energy his conscious mind couldn't yet perceive. He channeled a tiny amount of ki into his palm, not enough for an attack, just enough to serve as a probe. The reaction was immediate and violent. The distortion coalesced into a swirling darkness that expanded rapidly, engulfing Goku's hand before he could pull away. Panic flared for a brief moment before his warrior instincts took over. With a sharp ki, Goku pushed his energy outward, dispelling the darkness. It receded like a startled animal, but didn't disappear entirely. Instead, it gathered itself into a more defined shape, a perfectly round sphere of swirling obsidian energy approximately the size of a grapefruit, hovering at chest height. Okay. That's new, Goku whispered, circling the mysterious object cautiously. It reminded him vaguely of the negative energy he'd encountered in certain powerful enemies, but this felt older somehow. More primal. The sphere pulsed gently, as if beckoning. You want me to touch you again? I'm not sure that's a good idea. Despite his words, Goku felt drawn to the object. Something about it resonated with him on a level beyond conscious thought, awakening the same sensation he'd been trying to recapture from his fight with Cell. Decision made, Goku extended both hands this time, purposefully embracing the sphere rather than just touching it. The darkness surged forward eagerly, enveloping his hands and racing up his arms like living ink. Instead of fighting it, Goku remained still, allowing it to flow over him while keeping his Ki carefully neutral, neither resisting nor encouraging. The darkness covered him completely, momentarily blinding him. In that instant of sensory deprivation, Goku experienced something extraordinary, a vision or memory not his own. A massive, humanoid figure with purple skin and feline features held out a single hand toward a planet. No energy beam erupted from the figure's palm, no ki blast or Kamehameha-like attack. Instead, the entire planet simply ceased to exist. Not exploded, not destroyed, erased, as if it had never been. The vision ended as abruptly as it had begun. The darkness receded, condensing once more into a sphere, but now it hovered between Goku's palms, responding to his ki like a trained animal. At its center, something solid had materialized, a crystal of deep violet that pulsed with an internal light. "What are you showing me?" Goku asked quietly, instinctively understanding that this object was more than just a thing. It contained knowledge, purpose, perhaps even some form of consciousness. The crystal pulsed in response, and Goku felt rather than heard a word echo through his mind. Hakai, asterisk. The syllables meant nothing to him, yet they resonated with terrible significance. Goku carefully took the crystal between his fingers, surprised by how light it felt despite its dense appearance. The swirling darkness had now completely integrated with the crystal, giving it an otherworldly aura. Hakai, he repeated experimentally, feeling the alien word shape his mouth. The crystal flared brightly in response, and for a split second, Goku felt his consciousness expand exponentially. Touching awareness far beyond anything he'd experienced before, and he'd been to other world, had trained with Hakai. This was different, bigger, as if he'd briefly glimpsed the underlying fabric of reality itself. The sensation faded, leaving Goku breathless and trembling slightly. Whatever this crystal contained, it was powerful and ancient beyond his comprehension. Perhaps King Kai would know what. A sudden, searing pain shot through Goku's palm where it touched the crystal. He yelped in surprise, nearly dropping the object. When he looked down, he saw the crystal melting, its substance flowing into his hand like liquid metal absorbing into his very cells. The pain intensified briefly before vanishing entirely, leaving no mark on his skin, no visible trace that anything had happened at all. But Goku could feel it inside him, a cool, dense weight settling somewhere beyond his physical form, integrating with his ki in ways both subtle and profound. Edge flowed into his mind in fragments too brief to grasp fully. Techniques, warnings, histories of things that existed before the current universe. Overwhelmed, Goku sank to his knees in the endless white expanse, clutching his head as information threatened to tear his consciousness apart. With tremendous effort, he managed to erect mental barriers as he'd been taught on Yardrat, slowing the flood to a manageable trickle. Breathe, he reminded himself, focusing on the simplest of bodily functions. Just breathe. After what felt like hours but might have been minutes, the mental onslaught subsided. Goku cautiously lowered his mental shields, taking inventory of what remained. The complete knowledge was gone, or rather, submerged too deep for immediate access, but certain fundamental concepts had taken root in his understanding. Hakai, destruction, not as Goku had always understood it, the physical breaking of objects or beings, but something far more fundamental. The erasure of existence itself. This is. Goku struggled to find words adequate for what he now partially comprehended. This is the power of a god of destruction. The term had meaning now where it wouldn't have hours before. Gods of destruction. Divine counterparts to the Kais he'd encountered, maintaining cosmic balance through selective erasure rather than creation. Beings of immense power and terrible purpose who could unmake reality with a gesture. And somehow, impossibly, Goku now held a fraction of that power within himself. He rose unsteadily to his feet, staring at his hands with new awareness. They looked the same, calloused from countless battles, strong from lifelong training, yet fundamentally changed. With cautious intent, Goku focused on the new energy he could feel inside him, directing a minuscule portion toward his fingertip. A purple-black aura flickered to life, unlike any ki manifestation he'd ever produced before. It didn't radiate heat like his usual energy. Instead, it seemed to absorb light and warmth from its surroundings, creating a localized zone where existence itself felt thinner, more fragile. Goku looked around for something to test it on, spotting a small hand kerchief he'd left near the entrance to the living quarters. He pointed his energized finger at it from 10 paces away. "Hakai," he whispered. The effect was instantaneous and terrifying. The handkerchief didn't burn, didn't disintegrate, didn't explode. It simply vanished from reality as if it had never existed. No trace remained, not even dust or disturbed air where it had been. The erasure was absolute and complete. Goku stared in shock at the empty space, then at his finger where the destructive aura still flickered. With conscious effort, he extinguished it, feeling the energy retreat back into that cool, dense place inside him. That's not something I should be able to do," he said to the empty chamber, voice uncharacteristically small. For perhaps the first time in his life, Son Goku felt afraid of his own power. Across the universe, on a distant planet adorned with massive trees that dwarfed Earth's tallest mountains, a purple feline figure stirred in his slumber. Beerus, god of destruction of Universe 7, shifted uneasily on his floating bed, whiskers twitching as his perpetual dream took an unexpected turn. "No," he murmured, clawed fingers clutching at silken sheets. "That's not. Who dares?" Beside him, a tall, blue-skinned attendant opened one eye. Whis observed his charge with mild interest, his usually placid expression showing a hint of concern as Beerus continued to twitch and mutter. "Most unusual," Whis commented softly to himself, his staff materializing in his hand. The orb atop it glowed briefly, showing him something that made both eyebrows rise. "Well now, that simply shouldn't be possible." He tapped his staff twice on the air, sending a silent message across divine channels. In his sleep, Beerus growled low and dangerous, destroyer energy flickering unconsciously around his form before subsiding. Whis sighed. "I do hope this doesn't cut his nap short. He's so very disagreeable when he wakes prematurely." The message sent, Whis returned to his vigilant semi-meditation, though his thoughts now turned toward Earth, a planet he hadn't paid much attention to before, but which suddenly presented a cosmic anomaly of the highest order. In the realm of the Kais, old Kai spluttered his tea across ancient texts. "What in the name of the original void was that?" he exclaimed, jumping to his feet with surprising agility for one so apparently elderly. Supreme Kai Shin looked up from his own studies, alarmed by his elder's outburst. "What is it, honorable ancestor? Didn't you feel it?" Old Kai demanded, waving his arms frantically. That ripple in the destruction current. Someone's tapped into Hakai energy." Shin concentrated, his purple face scrunching with effort. After a moment, his eyes widened. I do feel something. A disturbance in the divine balance, originating from." His voice trailed off as he pinpointed the source, disbelief washing over his features. "That's not possible." "Evidently it is," old Kai snapped, pacing now. "Someone on Earth has accessed destruction energy. A mortal. Do you have any idea how catastrophic this could be?" Shin swallowed hard. Should we inform Beerus?" Old Kai stopped pacing, horror replacing anger on his wrinkled face. "And have him destroy Earth in a fit of territorial rage?" "Absolutely not. That planet has the highest concentration of powerful fighters in our universe. We need them intact for when." He trailed off, reluctant as always to speak of the threats he foresaw in distant futures. "Then what should we do?" The elder Kai stroked his mustache thoughtfully. "We observe for now, and perhaps, yes, we should consult the prophecies. This may not be an accident." Shin looked doubtful. "A mortal accessee, destroyer energy by prophesized design. That would be unprecedented." "Everything happens for the first time once," old Kai replied cryptically, already moving toward the archive chambers where the oldest records were kept. "And the universe has been acting strange lately. Too many coincidences, too many powerful mortals emerging in too short a time span." As they disappeared into the archives, neither Kai noticed the small, crystalline butterfly that had briefly materialized on the rim of old Kai's teacup before dissolving into motes of light. Had they seen it, they might have recognized the signature of one who watched the flow of time itself, one who was now taking a very personal interest in events unfolding on Earth. Goku emerged from the hyperbolic time chamber looking outwardly unchanged, the same wild hair, the same orange eye, the same easy smile as he greeted Mr. Popo and Dend on the lookout. But something in his eyes caught the young Namekian guardian's attention, a depth that hadn't been there before. Did you find what you were seeking, Goku? Dend asked carefully. Goku's smile faltered for just a moment. I found something, all right. Not sure exactly what it means yet. He had spent his remaining months in the chamber attempting to understand the power that had integrated with his being. Progress had been slow and often frightening. The Hakai energy responded differently than normal ki. It seemed almost sentient at times, eager to be used yet dangerous in its enthusiasm. Goku had learned to contain it, to prevent it from leaking out unconsciously, but mastery remained a distant goal. Well, everyone will be glad to have you back, Mr. Popo offered. Especially your family. Yeah. Goku brightened genuinely at the thought of seeing Chi-Chi and Gohan. I've been away too long. Thanks for letting me use the chamber, Dend. The young guardian nodded, still studying Goku with subtle concern. You're always welcome, Goku. The Earth owes you its continued existence many times over. As Goku placed 2 fingers to his forehead, preparing to use instant transmission to return home, Dend added quickly, if you ever need to discuss what you found in there. I may not have answers, but sometimes talking helps. Goku's expression softened with gratitude. Thanks, Dend. I might take you up on that. Then he vanished. Left alone with Mr. Popo, Dend released a troubled sigh. Something is different about him, the attendant observed. Yes, Dend agreed. His energy signature has changed. There's something overlaid on his normal ki, something I've never felt before. He gazed out from the lookout's edge at the peaceful earth below. I hope it doesn't mean another threat is coming. Mr. Popo said nothing, but his normally passive features showed a flicker of concern. The lookout had stood witness to countless crises over Earth's long history, and its caretaker had developed a sense for when the winds of fate were shifting. They were shifting now, blowing towards something neither he nor the young guardian could foresee. Dad. Gohan's exclamation of delight echoed through the Sun household as Goku materialized in the kitchen. The boy launched himself across the room, colliding with his father in a hug that would have knocked over anyone without Saiyan durability. Whoa, easy there. Goku laughed, returning the embrace. You've gotten stronger, Goku. Chi-Chi emerged from the pantry, momentarily frozen in disbelief before her face broke into a radiant smile. You're home. She rushed forward, joining the family embrace with uncharacteristic abandonment of decorum. For a perfect moment, Goku allowed himself to forget about Hakai energy and cosmic implications, simply enjoying the warmth of family. These were the moments worth protecting, worth fighting for, worth mastering dangerous powers for, if necessary. I've missed you guys, he said, meaning it with every fiber of his being. Are you done training now? Gohan asked eagerly. Can we go fishing, or sparring? Chi-Chi pulled back, wiping away a stray tear while attempting to look stern. Food first. You must be starving after all that time in that time place. Quote. As if on cue, Goku's stomach rumbled thunderously, breaking any remaining tension. You know me too well, he grinned. Soon the table was laden with dishes, and Goku attacked them with his usual enthusiasm while Gohan peppered him with questions about his training and Chi-Chi alternated between ordering him to slow down and inquiring about his plans now that he was home. Actually, Goku said between mouthfuls, I was hoping Gohan could help me with some training. I've been working on a new technique. Could use a sparring partner to refine it. Gohan's eyes lit up, but Chi-Chi's narrowed suspiciously. What kind of technique? She asked. Nothing dangerous, I hope. Gohan needs to focus on his studies now that the world isn't ending every other week. Goku scratched the back of his head, the familiar gesture masking his discomfort with the lie of omission he was about to tell. Just some energy control stuff. Really basic. Promise it won't interfere with his studying. Chi-Chi didn't look entirely convinced but nodded reluctantly. 2 hours maximum, and only after he finishes today's assignments. Already done, Mom. Gohan interjected quickly. I finished everything while you were at the market this morning. Well, Chi-Chi wavered, then sighed in defeat at the twin looks of eagerness from her husband and son. Fine, but be careful, and be back for dinner. An hour later, Goku and Gohan stood in a remote area of Mount Paozu, surrounded by pristine wilderness. Birds sang in the ancient trees, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of wildflowers across meadows untouched by human development. It was Goku's favorite training ground, far from anything that could be accidentally damaged or erased, he thought grimly. So what's this new technique, Dad? Gohan asked, stretching in preparation for sparring. At 11 years old, the boy had already achieved power that surpassed most of the universe's greatest warriors. Yet he maintained a scholar's curiosity alongside his fighter's instincts. Goku considered how much to reveal. He trusted his son implicitly, but the nature of Hakai energy felt too dangerous, too unknown to involve a child, even one as mature and powerful as Gohan. It's a bit hard to explain, he began cautiously. I encountered a new type of energy in the time chamber. Very different from normal ki. I'm still figuring out how it works myself. Gohan nodded thoughtfully. Is it something like the Kaioken? Or more like the spirit bomb where you gather energy from outside yourself? Neither, really, Goku replied. It's destructive. More destructive than anything I've worked with before. More destructive than a Super Saiyan transformation. Gohan looked impressed and slightly concerned. Goku nodded solemnly. In a different way, Super Saiyan power amplifies our normal energy. This is something else entirely. He glanced around, then pointed to a small boulder about 50 yards away. Watch. Concentrating. Goku extended one finger toward the boulder, allowing the smallest trickle of Hakai energy to flow through his arm. The now familiar purple-black aura flickered to life around his fingertip. Though he kept it minimal, not wanting to alarm Gohan with its alien appearance. Hakai, he whispered, still not entirely comfortable speaking the word aloud. The effect was immediate. The boulder simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no disintegration process, no sound. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Completely erased from reality. Gohan's jaw dropped. What did you just do? The boy actually took a step back, his scholar's mind struggling to process the fundamental wrongness of what he'd witnessed. That's not destruction, that's erasure. Goku extinguished the aura around his finger. That's exactly what it is. This energy doesn't destroy things in the normal sense. It removes them from existence entirely. Where did you learn something like that? Gohan's voice held equal parts awe and apprehension. Not from King Kai, right? No, Goku confirmed. I found something in the time chamber. An artifact or relic of some kind. It contained this knowledge, this power. Somehow it transferred into me. Gohan was silent for a long moment, his young face unusually serious as he processed this information. Finally, he asked, is it safe for you to use? It doesn't seem like energy mortals should have access to. Goku blinked in surprise at his son's perceptiveness. That's exactly what I'm trying to figure out. How did you know? It just feels divine, Gohan said, struggling to articulate his intuition. Like when we met Supreme Kai before the Cell Games. His energy felt different, higher somehow. This feels like that, but darker. Sometimes Goku forgot just how perceptive his son could be. The boy hadn't just inherited Saiyan strength, he developed a sensitivity to energy that sometimes surpassed Goku's own. You're right, Goku admitted. From what little I understand, this is energy normally used by divine beings called gods of destruction. They're counterparts to the Kais, responsible for eliminating things that need to be removed from existence to maintain cosmic balance. Gohan's eyes widened. And one of them taught you this technique? Not exactly. I think I accidentally head into knowledge I wasn't supposed to have. Goku frowned. Which is why I need to master it quickly. If it's inside me now, I need to control it completely so it doesn't activate accidentally. And you want me to help you train with it? Gohan looked uncertain. I'm not sure that's a good idea, Dad. If this energy erases things from existence. Oh, no, Goku waved his hands reassuringly. I wouldn't use it during sparring. I just need someone to help me train my control, someone strong enough to push me without me needing to tap into this energy. The better my overall ki control, better I can keep this stuff contained when I'm not using it. Relief washed over Gohan's face. Okay, that makes sense. We can definitely do that. They spent the next hour engaged in light sparring, light by their standards. which still created shock waves that rustled trees hundreds of yards away. Goku was careful to maintain awareness of the Hakai energy inside him, ensuring it remained due armant and contained during the physical exertion. As they took a break by a small stream, Gohan splashing water on his face to cool down, the boy asked, "Have you told anyone else about this? Vegeta or Piccolo or Bulma?" Goku shook his head. "Not yet. I wanted to understand it better first. Vegeta would probably demand I teach it to him immediately, Piccolo would lecture me about cosmic responsibility. And Bulma would want to run 100 tests." Gohan chuckled, acknowledging the accuracy of his father's assessment of their friends. "Are you going to tell them eventually?" "Probably," Goku sighed. "Just not yet. For now, I'd appreciate if you kept this between us, okay?" Gohan nodded seriously. "I promise, Dad. But be careful with this power. It doesn't feel like something that comes without a price." Once again, Goku was struck by his son's wisdom beyond his years. "When did you get so insightful?" he asked with a proud smile. "Probably around the time I had to save the world," Gohan replied with a small grin. They resumed sparring, pushing each other harder as the afternoon progressed. Goku found that focusing on traditional ki manipulation did indeed help him maintain better control over the Hakai energy, which seemed to respond to emotional states and could fluctuate during intense concentration or exertion. As they neared the 2-hour mark Chi-Chi had allowed, Goku decided to test one more aspect of his new power. Pointing toward a distant mountaintop, he channeled a slightly larger portion of Hakai energy than before. "Hakai," he intoned, voice stronger and more confident than his earlier attempt. The purple-black energy shot from his fingertip like a thin beam, striking the mountain peak. Instead of the small, precise erasure he'd intended, however, the energy expanded on impact, spreading like hungry fire across the mountaintop. Before Goku could react, the entire upper third of the mountain simply vanished from existence. "Dad!" Gohan exclaimed in alarm as they both stared at the now flat-topped mountain. "That's not what I meant to do," Goku admitted, shocked by the power's eagerness to expand beyond his intended target. "I just wanted to erase a small rock formation on top." Gohan swallowed hard, face pale. "That was a bigger chunk of mountain than Cell destroyed during our fight, and you did it with just your fingertip." The implications hung heavy in the air between them. This power, still barely understood, still barely controlled, could potentially be more dangerous than any threat they'd faced if Goku couldn't master it properly. "I think that's enough for today," Goku said quietly, extinguishing the last traces of purple energy around his hand. "We should head back before your mother sends out a search party." As they flew home, Goku couldn't shake the uneasiness that had settled over him. The Hakai energy had responded too eagerly, too hungrily to his command. It reminded him of the early days learning to control his Super Saiyan form. When rage could trigger unwanted transformations, except the consequences of losing control now seemed infinitely more severe. What had he gotten himself into? And more importantly, could he master this power before it created problems too big to fix? Across the universe, in a realm that existed perpendicular to normal space, a slender figure with silver-blue IR and violet eyes observed the events unfolding on Earth through a crystalline orb. Auberga's delicate features remained composed, though the subtle tightening around her eyes betrayed concern. "Impossible," she murmured, voice melodious despite her tension. "A mortal accessing Hakai energy directly. The implications are concerning." She waved a hand over the orb, shifting its view to observe Goku from multiple angles, studying the unique energy signature now embedded within his normal ki. The orb's light illuminated her pale blue skin and the formal white robes that marked her as an angel in training, not yet bearing the full regalia of a completed attendant. "The artifact shouldn't have been there," she continued, speaking to the empty chamber around her. "The time chamber exists outside normal space, yes. But it shouldn't have intersected with the vault of forbidden knowledge." She tapped a slender finger against her chin thoughtfully. Unless this isn't coincidence at all." The crystalline orb pulsed once, seemingly in agreement. Auberga straightened, decision made. "Very well, I shall investigate directly. The mortal must be observed, and if necessary, the knowledge retrieved before catastrophe ensues." With a graceful gesture of her hand, Aberga opened a portal in reality itself, not instantaneous transmission or mere high-speed travel, but a true folding of dimensional space. She stepped through, disappearing from the angelic realm and beginning her journey to Earth, where a Saiyan warrior had unwittingly upset cosmic balance in ways even he couldn't yet imagine. The crystalline orb continued to pulse gently in her absence, its surface briefly showing other watchers interested in these developments, a female Saiyan aboard a spacecraft adjusting its course toward Earth. A Supreme Kai from Universe 10 closing an ancient text with troubled eyes, a human scientist staring at inexplicable readings on monitoring equipment, and briefly, just for a moment. A figure shrouded in temporal energy, manipulating strands of time with careful precision. The stage was set, the players were converging, and at the center of it all stood Goku, holding Power that could either save the multiverse or erase it entirely. 3 days passed in relative normalcy as Goku settled back into family life. He helped Gohan with chores around their mountain home, trained in solitude during Chi-Chi's shopping trips, and made a conscious effort to be the husband and father his family deserved. The Hakai energy remained quiescent for the most part, responding only when deliberately called upon during his private training sessions. On the fourth morning, Goku woke before dawn, restless with a sensation he couldn't quite name. Something was approaching, something powerful and distinctly non-human. He slipped quietly from bed, careful not to wake Chi-Chi, and made his way outside to await whatever was coming. The pre-dawn air carried the scent of dew-covered grass and pine. Stars still dotted the sky, though the eastern horizon showed the first hints of approaching daylight. Goku closed his eyes, extending his senses outward to track the approaching energy signature. Definitely heading straight here, he murmured to himself. Not Piccolo or Vegeta, not anyone I recognize. He considered waking Gohan but decided against it. This presence, while powerful, didn't feel malevolent, just purposeful. Still, Goku assumed a ready stance as he felt the energy signature drop from the upper atmosphere directly toward his location with impossible speed. A soft sound like crystal chimes announced the arrival. No dramatic entrance, no explosive landing, simply an elegant figure standing suddenly on the grass 20 paces away, as if they had always been there. Goku blinked in surprise at the newcomer. She, for the figure was distinctly feminine, stood nearly as tall as Piccolo, with silver-blue hair that flowed like liquid metal down to her waist. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes a striking violet that seemed to contain galaxies. She wore formal white robes with intricate patterns that shifted subtly in ways that hurt the eyes if watched too closely. In her right hand, she carried a staff topped with a crystalline sphere. Son Goku, she spoke, her voice melodious and clearly not human. I am Aberga, attendant in training to the celestial hierarchy. Goku maintained his ready stance while offering a cautious smile. That's quite a title. What brings you to Earth? You have acquired knowledge and power not intended for mortal possession, she replied directly. Her gaze never leaving his. The Hakai energy you now wield represents a significant cosmic anomaly that requires investigation. Goku tensed slightly. I didn't steal anything, if that's what you're suggesting. It found me. Artifacts of such significance do not simply find mortals, Aberga countered, though her tone remained neutral rather than accusatory. Quote, the crystalline vessel containing Hakai knowledge was secured in a vault beyond dimensional boundaries. Its appearance in your time chamber indicates either cosmic malfunction of the highest order or. She paused, studying him with those universe-deep eyes. Or what? Goku prompted. Are designed beyond my current authority to discern, she finished carefully. Goku relaxed slightly, sensing no immediate threat from this celestial being. Look, I'm still figuring out what this energy is and how to control it. If you're here to take it back somehow, I'm not sure that's even possible now. It's become part of my ki. Aberga approached, each step graceful yet somehow covering more distance than should be possible. She stopped an arm's length away, raising her staff. May I? Goku hesitated, then nodded. As long as whatever you're planning doesn't hurt my family. Merely a diagnostic assessment, she assured him. The crystal atop her staff glowed softly as she moved it in a circle around Goku. Her expression remained neutral, but Goku sensed her surprise. Extraordinary, she murmured. The Hakai essence has fully integrated with your mortal ki. They're vibrating in harmony rather than conflict. She lowered her staff, genuine puzzlement crossing her perfect features. This should not be possible. Mortal energy and destruction energy are fundamentally incompatible. Goku shrugged. I've done a lot of impossible things in my life. Kind of my specialty. For the first time, Aburga's formal demeanor cracked slightly, not quite a smile, but a softening around her eyes. Yes, your file indicates a persistent defiance of cosmic limitations. Before Goku could ask what file she meant, she continued, the integration appears stable for now, but the potential for catastrophic discharge remains significant. Your control is rudimentary at best. That's why I've been training, Goku explained. I figured better control means less chance of accidents. A logical approach, but insufficient given the nature of the power involved. Aburga tapped her staff once on the ground, creating a sound like a perfect crystal bell. I had intended to extract the Hakai essence and return it to proper containment. But that option is no longer viable without risking your complete erasure from existence. That doesn't sound great, Goku said with characteristic understatement. Indeed, Aburga seemed to come to a decision. Under normal circumstances, I would report this anomaly to my superiors for immediate intervention. However, these circumstances are anything but normal. She fixed those violet eyes on him with new intensity. I will remain on Earth to monitor your progress and provide guidance in controlling Hakai energy. This arrangement preserves cosmic protocol while acknowledging the unique situation. Goku blinked in surprise. You want to train me? Not precisely training, supervision and limited instruction, she clarified. True mastery of Hakai energy requires millennia of preparation that mortals cannot afford. But perhaps sufficient control can be established to prevent universal catastrophe. You really know how to make a guy feel special, Goku remarked with a small smile. But I appreciate the help. This stuff is way different from normal ki. Dawn had broken fully now, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. From the house, Goku heard the sounds of his family stirring, Gohan's footsteps, Chi-Chi beginning breakfast preparations. My family's waking up, he told Aburga. I should explain who you are before they see outside and get the wrong impression. Aburga nodded once, formal and precise. I shall adjust my appearance to something less attention-drawing. Mortals typically find my true form disquieting over prolonged exposure. Before Goku could respond that she looked fine to him, Aburga's form shimmered like heat haze. When the distortion cleared, she appeared much more human, still tall and graceful. But with normal pale skin instead of blue, her hair now a more natural silver white, her eyes still violet but no longer containing swirling galaxies. Her elaborate robes had transformed into a simple white tunic and flowing pants. Only her staff remained unchanged. This form should cause less disruption to your domestic arrangements, she stated. Goku had to admit the transformation as impressive. She now looked unusual but not alien. That'll definitely make things easier to explain to Chi-Chi, he agreed. Though I'm not sure how to tell her we have a divine house guest. Your mate need not know my true nature, Aburga suggested. I can present myself as a martial arts scholar studying unique energy techniques. Chi-Chi's pretty perceptive, Goku warned. And I try not to lie to her when I can avoid it. Aburga considered this a simplified truth, then. I am an expert in energy control from a distant place, here to assist with techniques you encountered during training. Before they could discuss further, the door to the Sun House opened, and Gohan stepped out, already dressed for the day. He spotted them immediately, curiosity and caution warring on his young face. Dad, who's this? He called, approaching carefully. Goku placed a reassuring hand on his son's shoulder when he reached them. Gohan, this is Aburga. She's here about that special energy I told you about. Understanding dawned in Gohan's eyes as he studied the disguised celestial being. Always polite, he offered a small bow. Nice to meet you, Miss Aburga. The honor is mine, son Gohan. Aburga replied with formal precision. Your reputation extends beyond this world. Gohan blushed slightly at the praise. Are you here to help my dad? Or, he hesitated, glancing questioningly at Goku. Both. In a manner of speaking, Aburga answered before Goku could. Your father has accessed energy of significant cosmic importance. I am here to ensure its proper management. She's going to help me train. Goku simplified, so I don't accidentally erase any more mountains. Gohan's expression brightened. That's great. Maybe you can explain where this energy comes from and why Dad can use it when he's not a god. Quote, all excellent questions which shall be addressed in due course, Aburga replied. But first, I believe introductions to the remainder of your household are in order. On cue, Chi-Chi's voice called from the doorway. Goku, Gohan, breakfast is nearly ready and, she stopped short, spotting the tall, white-haired stranger standing with her family. Who is that woman? Goku turned with a slightly nervous smile. Chi-Chi, we have a visitor. This is Aburga. She's an energy specialist who's going to be helping me with some training. Chi-Chi's eyes narrowed suspiciously as she approached. Energy specialist? From where exactly? And why do you need special training when the world isn't ending for once? Goku looked to Aburga, silently pleading for help with an explanation that wouldn't worry his wife unnecessarily. I represent an ancient tradition of key manipulation techniques, Aburga stated smoothly. Your husband encountered rare RGY forms during his recent training that require specialized guidance to master safely. Chi-Chi crossed her arms, clearly not entirely convinced. And you just happened to show up at our house at dawn. I sensed the unique energy signature, Aburga replied, which was technically true. Mom, Gohan interjected helpfully, Dad really does need this training. It's important. Chi-Chi's express. Sion softened slightly at her son's earnest support. She sighed in resignation. I suppose this means you'll be disappearing for training sessions again? She asked Goku. Not necessarily, Aburga answered before Goku could. Much of the instruction involves meditation and control rather than physical combat. It can be conducted near your dwelling without disruption to family routines. This seemed to surprise Chi-Chi pleasantly. Well, that's better than usual, I suppose. She straightened, domestic authority reasserting itself. Have you had breakfast, Miss Aburga? I've made plenty. I do not require. Aburga began, but caught Goku's warning glance. That is, I would be honored to share your morning meal, she amended. As they walked toward the house, Gohan whispered to Goku, is she really going to eat? She doesn't seem, like she needs food. I have no idea, Goku whispered back. But I'd rather not explain to your mother why our guest isn't eating. Inside, as Chi-Chi busied herself with final breakfast preparations, Aburga discreetly examined the modest son home with subtle curiosity. Goku noticed her attention to the family photos on the walls, the well-worn furniture. The simple but comfortable surroundings. Not what you're used to, I guess. He asked quietly. My usual domain exists beyond conventional space-time, she replied just as quietly. But there is something comforting about the limited, defined nature of mortal dwellings. She turned those violet eyes to him. You have built a life of considerable warmth here, son Goku. It speaks well of your character. Before Goku could respond to this unexpected observation, Chi-Chi called them to the table. As they settled into an unusually quiet breakfast, Chi-Chi clearly still processing the sudden appearance of a strange woman, Gohan alternating between eating and stealing curious glances at their visitor. Goku felt the Hakai energy inside him stir slightly, as if responding to Aburga's presence. He focused on containing it, using the techniques he'd developed over the past few days. To his surprise, the energy settled more easily than usual, almost as if Aburga's proximity somehow helped stabilize it. Whatever was happening, whatever cosmic anomaly or design had brought this power into his life and now brought this celestial being to his home, Goku sensed that things were only beginning to unfold. New power meant new responsibilities, new challenges, new threats. And as always, he would face them head-on. That was the Saiyan way. That was his way. Outside, unnoticed by the household, a small crystalline butterfly briefly materialized on the windowsill before dissolving into motes of light. The timeline continued to shift, adjusting to accommodate a power mortal hands were never meant to wield. The journey into destruction had begun. Chapter 1 End Chapter 2, Divine Interventions. Morning dew glistened on grass blades as Goku sat cross-legged in the clearing behind his home. 3 weeks had passed since Aburga's arrival, and their training sessions had fallen into a structured rhythm. This morning's goal, like every morning's, was containment and precision. Again, Aburga instructed, her voice carrying the calm authority of one who had witnessed the birth and death of stars. Summon the energy, but restrict its manifestation to your index finger only. Not the hand, not even the entire finger. Just the tip. Goku exhaled slowly, focusing his consciousness inward toward that cool, dense core of Hakai energy that now resided alongside his natural ki. The difficulty wasn't accessing the power, it practically leapt at his call, but restraining it, channeling it with surgical precision rather than destructive enthusiasm. A faint purple-black aura shimmered around his fingertip, unstable at first, then solidifying into a perfect sphere no larger than a pea. Progress. Better, Auberga acknowledged, circling him with measured steps. Desp. ITE adopting a more human appearance for daily interactions, she never quite mastered the casual movements of mortality. Each gesture remained too precise, too deliberate, a celestial being approximately. Inhuman behavior rather than embodying it. Now, erase only the center of the target. Nothing more. 50 paces away stood a thick wooden post with concentric circles painted on its face, a target C. Hakai had reluctantly allowed for their energy training. Goku narrowed his eyes, focusing on the black dot at the target's center. Hakai, he whispered. The energy leapt from his finger, eager, hungry, alive in ways normal ki wasn't. For a terrifying instant, Goku felt it strain against his will, attempting to expand its effect radius. He gritted his teeth, mentally wrestling the power into compliance. On the target, a perfectly circular hole the size of a coin appeared where the center dot had been. The wood wasn't burned or broken, the matter had simply ceased to exist, leaving an absent. CE so complete it appeared two-dimensional from a distance. Much improved, Auberga noted, the faintest hint of approval warming her typically clinical tone. Your control is advancing faster than expected. Goku relaxed, letting the Hakai energy retreat to its internal reservoir. It gets easier each time, but it never feels natural. Normal ki responds like an extension of my body. This stuff feels more like a separate entity cooperating with you rather than obeying you, Auberga finished. That is the fundamental nature of destruction energy. Even gods of destruction never truly master it, they form a partnership with it. Goku stood, stretching muscles stiff from an hour of motionless concentration. That's what makes it tricky. It has its own, I don't know, desires. It wants to destroy more than I'm asking it to. Precisely. Auberga tapped her staff once on the ground, creating a sound like crystal bells. Hakai energy represents cosmic entropy given consciousness. It seeks to fulfill its purpose, the erasure of existence, with maximum efficiency. Your challenge is convincing it that your definition of efficiency is superior. When you put it that way, it sounds like I'm negotiating with a force of nature. An apt description. Auberga's violet eyes studied him with the detached curiosity she always exhibited when discussing theoretical aspects of his training. What fascinates me is your capacity to form this negotiation at all. Mortals simply shouldn't possess the spiritual architecture to contain destruction energy without being consumed by it. Goku shrugged, a grin lighting his face. Maybe it's the Saiyan in me. We've always been good at adapting to new powers. Perhaps. Something flickered in Auberga's expression. Doubt, perhaps, or concern. Or perhaps something else entirely. Before Goku could ask what she meant, a familiar voice called from the house. Dad, Miss Auberga, Mom says breakfast is ready. Gohan stood on the back porch, waving enthusiastically. Over the past weeks, the boy had developed a fascination with Auberga that bordered on hero worship. Every evening, he peppered her with questions about cosmic forces, divine hierarchies, and the nature of existence, questions she answered with surprising patience for a being who had likely existed since before Earth formed. We'll be right there, Goku called back, then turned to Auberga. Same time tomorrow. She nodded, a single precise movement. The progression is logical. Tomorrow we shall attempt controlled Hakai on moving targets. As they walked toward the house, Goku noticed Auberga's eyes lingering on the Sun family dwelling with that same subtle curiosity she'd shown since her arrival. Despite weeks under their roof, aspects of human life still seemed to puzzle her. Something on your mind? He asked. Your species devotes considerable energy to creating bonds and structures that are, cosmically speaking, momentary, she observed. Your dwelling, your family unit. Your customs, all will vanish in less than an eye blink of universal time. Yet you invest them with immense significance. Goku considered this. Maybe that's what makes them valuable. Because they don't last forever. Aburga's perfect brow furrowed slightly, the closest she came to displaying surprise. An interesting perspective. Most mortals have observed fear impermanence rather than finding value in it. Well, I've died a couple times, Goku replied with characteristic nonchalance. Changes how you see things. This earned him another of those looks, the ones where Aburga seemed to reassess everything she thought she knew about him. These moments had become more frequent as their training progressed, tiny cracks in her celestial detachment. Briefly, Saint at the Sun household had adjusted to accommodate their unusual guest. Though Aburga maintained she didn't require sustenance, Chi-Chi insisted on setting a place for her regardless. The angel in tea. Raining had developed a curious fascination with the concept of taste, occasionally sampling small portions with the methodical attention of a scientist cataloging phenomena. Good morning, Chi-Chi. Aburga greeted with formal precision as they entered. Your hospitality continues to exceed cosmic standards. Chi-Chi, who had gradually warmed to their strange guest, smiled as she placed a towering stack of pancakes on the table. Good morning to you too. How was training? Dad made a perfect hole in the target. Gohan reported enthusiastically before either adult could answer. Just the center dot, nothing else. Chi-Chi's smile tightened slightly. While she'd accepted Aburga's presence and the necessity of Goku's training, she remained uncomfortable with the nature of the energy he was learning to control. Goku hadn't fully explained Hakai's erasure properties, but Chi-Chi was perceptive enough to sense something fundamentally different about this power. Well, that's nice, dear, she managed, placing the last dishes on the table. Precision is good, I suppose. Goku offered his wife a reassuring smile as he took his seat. These past weeks hadn't been easy on her, having a celestial being in their home. Watching her husband practice increasingly esoteric techniques. Yet she'd adapted with the resilience that made Goku admire her all the more. The tournament application deadline is next week. Gohan mentioned between mouthfuls. Are you going to enter, Dad? The World Martial Arts Tournament, once Earth's premier fighting competition, was being revived after years of inactivity. With Cell defeated and peace restored, public interest in martial arts had resurged, prompting the announcement of a special championship with unprecedented prize money. I'm not sure, Goku admitted. It might not be a good idea with this new energy still not fully under control. Your control is progressing adequately, Aburga noted, delicately examining a blueberry between her fingers before placing it on her tongue with an expression of mild fascination. By the tournament date, you should be capable of restricting Hakai manifestation even under combat conditions. See, Gohan brightened. It would be awesome. All our friends will probably enter too. Chi-Chi surprised them by nodding. Actually, I think you should consider it, Goku. The prize money is substantial, and, she hesitated. Uncharacteristically uncertain. It might be good for people to see you in a normal competition again. After Cell, and everything. Goku understood the unspoken sentiment. The world had witnessed the Cell Games broadcast, had seen powers beyond human comprehension. Having Earth's defenders participate in a traditional tournament might help normalize their presence, Remy. ND people that these godlike warriors were still part of their world. I'll think about it, he promised. Though I'm not sure how normal any match with me would look these days. You could always hold back, Chi-Chi suggested. Like you used to in the old days. Aburga raised an eyebrow. Fascinating. You advocate deliberate underperformance for social harmony. Sometimes it's polite not to show off everything you can do. Chi-Chi explained with the patience of one teaching a foreigner basic customs. Especially when your everything could accidentally level a city. Aburga considered this, head tilted in that bird-like manner that emphasized her non-human nature. A practical adaptation to power asymmetry. I shall note this behavioral pattern. Gohan giggled, still amused why their guests' formal analyses of everyday human interactions. Even after weeks in their home, Aburga approached human customs like anthropological studies. As breakfast concluded and Gohan departed for his studies, Goku helped Chi-Chi clear the table, a habit he'd developed since returning home. Aberga observed this domestic ritual with her usual attention before addressing Chi-Chi directly. "I wish to express appreciation for your continued accommodation," she said. Cosmic protocol rarely accounts for the disruption divine intervention causes to mortal domestic arrangements. Chi-Chi paused, hands deep in dishwater. "That's a very formal way of saying, thanks for letting me stay." As the sentiment not adequately conveyed. "The sentiment is fine," Chi-Chi replied, a small smile softening her features. "And you're welcome. Any friend of Goku's is welcome in our home, even if they are whatever exactly you are. My precise classification within celestial hierarchy would require terminological." "I think she gets it," Goku interjected gently, having learned when to redirect Aberga's tendency toward exhaustive explanations. A comfortable silence fell as they finished the dishes, broken only when Chi-Chi remembered an errand in town. After she departed, Goku found himself alone with Aberga in the kitchen, a rarity, as their interactions typically occurred during formal training sessions. "So," he began, unsure how to navigate casual conversation with a divine being, "what do you do when you're not helping me train?" "I never see you sleep. I enter meditative communion with the cosmic harmonies," Aberga replied, tracing a finger along the wooden table's grain with unusual interest. "And I observe." "Observe what?" Your family. This planet." Her violet eyes met his. "You are an anomaly, Son Goku. A mortal wielding divine energy is unprecedented enough, but your entire species presents cosmic inconsistencies that merit study." Goku leaned against the counter, intrigued. "What kind of inconsistencies?" "Humans exist at a curious inflection point between physical and spiritual evolution," she explained. "Most mortal species follow predictable developmental patterns: technological advancement, then spiritual awakening, then dimensional transcendence. Humans have developed unevenly, achieving spiritual awareness beyond your technology capacity while simultaneously remaining bound to primitive emotional patterns." "Is that a compliment or criticism?" Something almost like amusement flickered in Aberga's expression. "Merely observation. Your kind embodies contradiction in ways celestial beings find disorienting." Before Goku could respond, a sensation prickled at his awareness, an energy signature approaching Earth's atmosphere. Powerful, focused, and decidedly alien. "Do you feel that?" he asked, instantly alert. Aberga nodded, all traces of conversational ease vanishing. "A vessel enters your solar system. Its occupant possesses significant energy. Friendly, indeterminate. The signature contains." She paused, eyes widening fractionally in what constituted dramatic surprise for her. "Saiyan energy patterns. Modified, but unmistakable." Goku was already moving, two fingers to his forehead. "I'm going to investigate. Stay here and watch over my family." For once, Aberga didn't insist on accompanying him, simply nodding her agreement. "Exercise caution, Goku. Your Hakai energy may respond unpredictably to another Saiyan presence." With that warning echoing in his mind, Goku vanished. The spacecraft hurtled through Earth's upper atmosphere, its sleek design unlike anything of Frieza's Empire or Capsule Corporation manufacture. Heat from atmospheric entry blazed across its hull, casting the single occupant in a red glow that accentuated features both familiar and alien to anyone who knew Saiyans. Mizumi stood before the viewscreen, arms crossed over armor that evoked traditional ion design while incorporating materials far beyond anything Planet Vegeta had produced. Her skin was the warm brown of fire-baked clay, her black hair swept back from a prominent widow's peak into a disciplined braid that reached her waist. A single violet streak ran through the braid, matching the color of her eyes that now narrowed as the ship's sensors detected a power signature moving to intercept. "Impossible," she murmured, her voice a velvet contralto with the faintest trace of an accent from a world that no longer existed. "No one should be able to detect this vessel through its cloaking field." The onboard computer chimed softly. "Trajectory adjustment recommended. Unknown energy signature approaching at superluminal velocity." Mizumi's lips curved into a smile that contained no warmth. "No, maintain course. I want to meet whatever can move faster than light without technological assistance." She stepped back from the viewscreen, assuming a defensive stance that displayed the fluid grace of one trained in combat since earliest childhood. The ship's interior lights gleamed off the royal crest emblazoned on her left shoulder plate, a symbol no living Saiyan would recognize except the two exiles on Earth. Prepare for potential hostile contact, she ordered the ship's computer. Non-lethal countermeasures only. I need information before confrontation. Acknowledged, Commander. The sensors barely had time to register the incoming entity before reality itself seemed to tear. One moment Mizumi stood alone in the command center. The next, a man appeared directly before her, simply there. Without motion or transition, instinct took over. Her right hand shot forward, energy gathering for a debilitating blast. But her visitor moved with impossible speed, gently redirecting her arm upward so the blast harmlessly struck the ceiling where emergency shields absorbed it. Easy there, the intruder said, his voice surprisingly gentle for one who had just neutralized her attack effortlessly. I just want to talk. Mizumi leapt back, creating distance to better assess this threat. The man before her wore an orange and blue GI, his black hair defying gravity in a style instantly recognizable to any Saiyan. But it was his energy signature that froze her in place. Saiyan at its core, yet layered with something far more vast and ancient, something that cheered primal recognition in her warrior blood. You're Saiyan, she stated, the accusation clear in her tone. He nodded, posture relaxed despite having just teleported onto an unknown vessel. I'm Goku. And you are Commander Mizumi, Royal Guard of Sadala. She straightened, pride evident in every line of her body. How did you board this ship? It's traveling at atmospheric entry velocity. Instant transmission, he replied as if teleportation were commonplace. I can move anywhere I can sense energy. His head tilted, studying her with open curiosity. You're Saiyan too, but different somehow. Your energy doesn't feel like mine or Vegeta's. The name caught her attention. Vegeta, Prince Vegeta lives. For the first time, genuine emotion cracked her disciplined facade. Yeah, he's here on Earth. Has been for years. Goku's expression grew more curious. But you're not from our universe, are you? Your energy feels shifted somehow. Mizumi's violet eyes narrowed. This strange Saiyan perceived too much for comfort. I come from Universe 6. My planet Sadala still stands, unlike your destroyed world. She allowed a note of condescension to enter her voice. Though judging by your power level, you've managed to survive remarkably well for a homeless remnant. Rather than taking offense, Goku smiled. Universe 6. That explains it. I've never met Saiyans from another universe before. His excitement was so genuine, so utterly lacking in guile that Mizumi momentarily found herself without response. The ship shuddered as it entered lower atmosphere, its computer hemming. Approaching designated landing coordinates. Surface contact in 3 minutes. Goku glanced at the viewscreen showing Earth's surface rushing up to meet them. Where are you planning to land? And why are you here, anyway? Mizumi debated how much to reveal. This Saiyan, Goku, radiated power beyond anything in her experience, yet carried himself with none of the imperial arrogance such strength typically bred. More concerning was the strange energy layered within his normal ki, ancient, destructive, and vaguely familiar from texts she'd studied in the royal archives. I'm on a reconnaissance mission, she replied carefully. Unusual energy readings were detected emanating from this planet 17 days ago. Energy consistent with, she hesitated, with certain forbidden techniques mentioned in our oldest records. Understanding dawned in Goku's eyes. You sensed the Hakai energy. The confirmation sent a cold shock through Mizumi's body. So it was true, somehow this Saiyan had accessed the destruction power of gods. The implications were staggering. How did you acquire it? She demanded, protocol forgotten in the face of cosmic impossibility. No mortal should be capable of wielding Hakai. Even in our legends, only gods of destruction possess such power. Goku's expression turned sheepish, one hand moving to the back of his head in a disarmingly casual gesture. It's complicated. I found an artifact that kind of merged with me. I'm still learning to control it. An untrained mortal with destruction energy, Mizumi murmured, horror and fascination warring in her voice. The cosmic implications alone. Yeah, that's why I have a teacher now. Goku's face brightened. Hey, you should meet Aberga. She's been helping me train. Maybe you could too, since you seem to know about this stuff. Mizumi stared at him, momentarily speechless. This man possessed power that could unmake reality itself, yet invited her, a complete stranger, to participate in H.'s training with the enthusiasm of a child showing off a new toy. The ship's computer interrupted. Planetary surface contact imminent. Prepare for landing procedures. Look, Goku said as the craft began its final descent. I get that you came here investigating something potentially dangerous. But I promise I'm not a threat to anyone. Why don't you land, and then we can talk more. I could even take you to meet Vegeta. The mention of the prince again, clearly an attempt to establish trust through their shared heritage. Yet Mizumi found herself considering the offer despite her training in diplomatic caution. This Saiyan was an aberration, a low-class warrior by appearance who somehow wielded both tremendous conventional power and divine energy no mortal should access. The royal archives needed this information. Very well, she conceded. I will meet with you after landing. But be warned, I am not here alone. My mission is officially sanctioned, and failure to report will trigger intervention protocols. This was a bluff. She had indeed come alone, the mission too sensitive for a larger team. But Goku merely nodded, accepting her statement at face value. That's fine. We've got nothing to hide. He placed 2 fingers to his forehead. I'll meet you at your landing site. It's in the mountains north of here, right? Before she could ask how he knew their coordinates, he vanished, simply ceased to exist in her ship. Mizumi exhaled slowly, centering herself as the craft made its final approach to Earth. Computer, comprehensive analysis of the energy signature designated, Goku. Compare against known Saiyan parameters and identify anomalies. Analysis complete, the computer responded almost instantly. Subject exhibits Saiyan base pattern with 5 significant anomalies. Primary anomaly, presence of destruction energy typically associated with divine entities. Secondary anomalies include unusual ki circulation, temporal distortion markers, and cellular regeneration patterns inconsistent with standard Saiyan physiology. Mizumi frowned. Temporal distortion markers. Affirmative. Subject's cellular structure shows evidence of multiple timeline intersections. Fascinating, she murmured. This Saiyan was more than just a wielder of forbidden power, he was a walking cosmic contradiction. The mission had just become significantly more complex. As the ship settled onto Earth's soil, Mizumi adjusted her armor and checked her power readings one final time. Whatever happened next would certainly be reported in the Royal Archives, one way or another. Terralia Chambers adjusted her glasses as she studied the readouts scrolling across multiple monitors in her underground laboratory. 28 years old, with copper-brown skin and black hair cut. In a precise bob that framed sharp cheekbones, she projected the focused intensity of a scientist on the verge of breakthrough or breakdown. It happened again, she muttered, fingers flying across K.A. boards as she correlated data from global monitoring stations. Same energy signature, same quantum displacement effect, but stronger this time. Approximately 42% increase in spatial distortion. He Laboratory, a converted missile silo she'd purchased with her family's technology fortune, hummed with the operation of equipment far beyond current scientific understanding. Most of it she'd designed herself. After conventional instruments failed to measure the phenomena she'd first detected 3 weeks ago. Dr. Chambers, came the artificial voice of her lab's AI assistant, Satellite Array S. X has detected a small spacecraft entering Earth's atmosphere. Its propulsion system utilizes energy patterns similar to anomaly designation HC7. Terralia spun toward a different monitor, pulling up the satellite feed. Show me trajectory and estimated landing coordinates. A 3-dimensional projection materialized above her desk, showing the craft's path toward a remote mountain region. Relia's dark eyes narrowed behind rectangular frames. That's less than 30 miles from where I detected the first major energy spike. She stood, decision made. Prepare the mobile lab, I'm going to investigate personally. Advisable to inform governmental authorities regarding extraterrestrial arrival, the AI suggested. Terralia snorted. The same authorities who denied my research grant. And called my theories fringe pseudoscience. I don't think so. She was already collecting equipment, loading specialized sensors into a carrying case. Besides, this isn't first contact. Whatever's happening connects to the energy anomalies I've been tracking for weeks. As she prepared for departure, one monitor continued displaying her primary research, complex waveforms representing energy. Patterns that defied conventional physics. At certain frequencies, the energy appeared to locally negate the fundamental forces holding matter together, creating what Terelia had termed existence v. vacuums, where normal physical laws simply ceased to operate. 3 weeks ago, these patterns had appeared suddenly near Mount Paozu. Since then, they'd grown steadily stronger and more refined, sting deliberate manipulation rather than natural phenomena. Whatever, or whoever, was generating them represented a fundamental revolution in energy physics. And Terelia Chambers intended to be the first scientist to document it. Regardless of what she might find at that landing site. The World Martial Arts Tournament Committee office buzzed with activity as registration for the revived championship entered its final week. Volunteers processed applications, verified competitor information, and organized preliminary round brackets under the watchful eye of the committee chairman. Among them moved a woman who, despite her ordinary appearance, drew unconscious deference from those around her. Of average height with light brown hair pulled into a simple ponytail, she wore the standard volunteer uniform. Yet carried herself with unmistakable dignity. When she spoke, people instinctively listened, though none could later explain exactly why. These applications should be processed with particular care, she instructed a young volunteer, handing over a small stack of papers. The competitors possess unique abilities that may require special accommodation. The volunteer nodded earnestly. Yes, Miss Kai, I'll make sure they're handled properly. Thank you. Her voice carried the gentle authority of one accustomed to being obeyed. The success of this tournament depends on including all levels of martial skill, from human champions to those of more diverse heritage. As she moved through the office, Kayasha, for that was her true name, shortened to Kai, for human interaction, maintained the perfect posture and measured movements of one who had existed for millennia rather than decades. Her outward appearance was merely a convenience, a disguise allowing her to move unnoticed among mortals while she observed developments of cosmic significance. In her true form, Supreme Kai Kayasha of Universe 10 possessed the lavender skin, white hair, and pointed ears characteristic of her divine species. But such appearances tended to cause unnecessary complications among humans, so she had adopted this form for her mission to Earth. A mission that grew more crucial by the day, as she sensed the Hakai energy stabilizing within its mortal host. Finding a moment of privacy in a small break room, Kayasha removed a crystalline pendant from beneath her shirt. It pulsed with soft light as she whispered ancient syllables over it, establishing a secure communication channel across universal boundaries. The mortal's control progresses, she reported quietly. Auberga's training proves effective, though questions remain about the artifact's origins. The tournament will provide optimal observation conditions for assessment. The crystal pulsed once in acknowledgement before returning to dormancy. Kayasha replaced it beneath her clothing just as the door opened, revealing the tournament chairman. Ah, Miss Kai, just the person I wanted to see. The elderly man beamed at her, completely unaware of her true nature. We've received some rather unusual applications I thought you might help with. Competitors claiming to be former world champions are participants in the Cell Games. Kayasha smiled politely. Some claims may be more legitimate than they appear, Chairman. In matters of exceptional ability, I suggest erring toward inclusion rather than exclusion. The audience will appreciate witnessing truly extraordinary skill. Yes, quite right, he agreed readily, her subtle influence guiding his thoughts. We want this revival tournament to be spectacular, after all. I'll make sure these applications are approved. Excellent. Kayasha's smile remained pleasant while her eyes reflected deeper purpose. This tournament may prove more significant than anyone anticipates. As the chairman departed, Kayasha turned her awareness briefly outward, sensing the subtle shifts in Earth's energy patterns. The Saiyan vessel had landed. The scientist approached the mountains. The mortal destroyer continued his training. Pieces moving into position, just as the prophecies had foretold. Whether toward salvation or catastrophe remained to be seen. Goku stood on a ridge overlooking the small clearing where Mizumi's spacecraft had landed. The vessel gleamed in the midday sun, its design unlike any alien technology he'd previously encountered. More elegant than Frieza's utilitarian ships, more organic than Capsule Corp's functional approach. He sensed Mizumi's energy signature moving within the craft, her power level impressive though nowhere near his own. What intrigued him more was the disciplined way she contained that power, not suppressing it entirely as he and his friends had learned to do, but channeling it through pathways that suggested formal, systematic training unlike the adapt or die approach that had characterized his own growth. Different universe, different Saiyans, he murmured to himself. Makes sense. They'd develop differently without Frieza. As if summoned by his thoughts, the ship's entry portal dilated open, and Mizumi emerged. She'd exchanged her armor for what appeared to be a diplomatic I form, still martial in design but less overtly combative. The royal crest remained prominent on her left shoulder, and Goku noticed a ceremonial blade at her hip that radiated faint energy of its own. Your world has acceptable atmospheric composition, she called up to him, having spotted him immediately despite his elevated position. Though the gravity is lighter than I prefer. Goku leapt from the ridge, landing softly before her. Yeah, I used to train in increased gravity to compensate. Vegeta still does. At the prince's name, Mizumi's expression tightened subtly. You mentioned him before. How did a prince of the royal line end up on this peripheral world? Long story, Goku replied. Same as me, we're both survivors after Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta. Though I was sent here as a baby, and Vegeta came much later. Frieza. Mizumi spoke the name with professional interest rather than the loathing Goku might have expected. The Frost Demon Emperor doesn't exist in our universe. Our Sadala thrives, though we've had our own challenges. She studied him openly now, violet eyes assessing every aspect of his appearance and bearing. You don't carry yourself like a warrior of rank. Yet your power is, she hesitated, searching for appropriate terminology. Unprecedented. And now you wield Hakai energy as well. Explain. The direct command might have offended him coming from someone else. But Goku recognized it as typical Saiyan directness, especially from one accustomed to authority. Instead of taking offense, he offered a simplified version of recent events, finding the crystal in the hyperbolic time chamber, its integration with his ki, and Aburga's arrival to help him control the power. As he spoke, he noticed Mizumi's expression shifting from skeptical to stunned to thoughtful. When he finished, she remained silent for several moments, processing. In our archives, she finally said, there exists a prophecy from the early days of Sadala. It speaks of a Saiyan beyond universes who would wield the power of gods without ascending to divinity. This warrior would stand at a cosmic crossroads, with the potential to either preserve or unravel existence itself. Goku blinked, uncomfortable with the implication. I'm not really one for prophecies. I'm just trying to master this energy so it doesn't cause problems. Prophecies become prophecies precisely because they describe pivotal junctures, Mizumi countered. Your access to Hakai energy represents a fundamental disruption of cosmic hierarchy. Divine power in mortal hands creates unpredictable outcomes. Something in her tone made Goku study her more carefully. You came here because of this prophecy, didn't you? Not just because you detected the energy. A smile touched Mizumi's lips, the first genuine one he'd seen. Perceptive for a low-class warrior. Yes, when our sensors detected energy consistent with Hakai, I volunteered for this mission specifically because of my familiarity with the ancient texts. She took a step toward him, her bearing formal yet intense. I need to understand what you are, Goku. A Saiyan with divine power contradicts everything we know about cosmic order. Either you represent an aberration that threatens existence, or you fulfill a role we've only glimpsed in our oldest writings. I'm just me, Goku replied simply. I found power I didn't expect. And now I'm learning to use it responsibly. That's all. That is never all, when it comes to power of this magnitude. Mizumi's violet eyes held his gaze. I request permission to observe your training and assess your control of Hakai energy directly. My report will determine my world's response to your existence. The implied threat wasn't subtle, but neither was it personal, merely a statement of protocol. Goku considered briefly before nodding. That's fair. You can meet Aburga and watch us train. But I should warn you, she's not exactly a normal teacher, and this isn't exactly normal training. Mizumi raised an eyebrow. Aburga, you mentioned this name before. She instructs you in Hakai control. She's an angel in training, Goku explained, then noted Mizumi's shocked expression. You have angels in Universe 6, right? The attendants to gods of destruction. We do, she confirmed, voice tight with renewed tension. Which makes your situation even more concerning. If the celestial hierarchy has dispatched an angel to Earth, the cosmic implications of your power must be significant indeed. Before Goku could respond, a new sound reached them, the hum of an approaching vehicle. Both Saiyans turned toward the noise, Mizumi instinctively shifting into a defensive stance. Relax, Goku advised. It's just a human aircraft. Probably someone who spotted your ship landing. My vessel's cloaking technology should have prevented detection, Mizumi frowned. Maybe they weren't looking for the ship specifically, Goku suggested as a sleek, black aircraft appeared over the tree line. It resembled a capsule corp design but modified with unusual sensors protruding from various angles. Looks like a research vessel. The aircraft settled to the ground 30 yards from Mizumi's spacecraft, its engines powering down with a soft whine. After a moment, a side door slid open, and a woman emerged, human, in her late 20s perhaps, carrying what appeared to be scientific equipment. She wore practical field clothes beneath a lab coat, her movements precise and purposeful as she activated various devices without yet acknowledging the two Saiyans watching her. Fascinating energy signatures, they heard her murmur to herself. Completely consistent with my previous readings, but now there's a secondary pattern overlaid on the primary anomaly. Goku glanced at Mizumi, who appeared torn between amusement and annoyance at being so casually ignored. With a shrug, he stepped forward. Hi there, looking for something specific? The woman jumped slightly, finally focusing on them. Her eyes widened momentarily before clinical interest replaced surprise. Yes, actually, she approached without hesitation, one hand extended professionally while the other continued holding a scanner directed at Goku. Dr. Terelia Chambers, quantum physicist specializing in anomalous energy patterns. And you're exactly what I've been looking for. Goku shook her hand, bemused by her directness. I am. Don't be coy, Terelia replied, adjusting her glasses with her free hand. You're radiating the exact energy signature I've been tracking for weeks. Quantum displacement fields with localized entropy acceleration, essentially, energy that erases matter from existence rather than converting it to other forms. Mizumi stepped forward, reassessing the human with new respect. Your detection technology identified Hakai energy across planetary distances. Impressive for your species' development level. Terelia turned toward her, scanners immediately redirecting. And you're generating a completely different but equally fascinating pattern. Consistent with controlled fusion but with biological integration I've never seen before. Her dark eyes lit with scientific excitement. You're not human either. Fascinating. Dr. Chambers, Goku interrupted gently, those energy readings you've been tracking, they're not exactly public knowledge. How did you detect them? Terelia finally lowered her scanner, giving them her full attention. 3 weeks ago, my global sensor network detected an energy spike near Mount Paozu that briefly created what I can only describe as a reality vacuum, a localized space where normal physical laws ceased to function. Since then, similar but increasingly controlled events have occurred in the same general region. She gestured toward her aircraft, where more equipment blinked and whirred. I developed specialized sensors to track these anomalies. When I detected an incoming spacecraft using energy with harmonic similarities, I decided direct observation was warranted. Mizumi glanced at Goku. Your energy control exercises have been detected by human technology. Concerning. Actually, Terelia interjected, the initial event was orders of magnitude more powerful than subsequent occurrences. Whatever happened 3 weeks ago created a quantum disturbance that briefly affected reality across half the planet. The later events appear more focused and controlled. Goku winced, remembering his first accidental mountain erasure. That would be when I was still figuring things out. Terelia's eyes widened. So you admit you're the source. You can consciously generate and control this energy. She stepped closer, scientific curiosity overriding caution. Do you understand the implications? You're manipulating fundamental forces in ways that contradict established physics. It's called Hakai energy, Goku explained, seeing little point in denial given her obvious knowledge. And yes, I'm learning to control it. Hakai, Terelia repeated, testing the word. Japanese origin, destruction or annihilation, divine origin, Actually, Mizumi corrected. The energy of cosmic erasure wielded by gods of destruction. Instead of dismissing this explanation as superstition, Terelia nodded thoughtfully. That would explain the readings. The energy doesn't destroy matter, it removes it from the equation entirely. A true existence vacuum. Her gaze returned to Goku, intense and analytical. But you're obviously not a god. Nope. Goku agreed cheerfully. Just a guy who found something I wasn't supposed to have. Which makes you potentially the most significant scientific discovery in human history. Terelia stated this as simple fact rather than hyperbole. I need to study this energy, document its properties, understand its interaction with conventional physics. Mizumi stepped between them, her posture subtly protective despite having just met Goku. This energy transcends mortal science, human. Its properties are cosmic in nature, not technological. All the more reason to study it properly, Terelia countered without backing down. If it exists, it can be measured, analyzed, and eventually understood. Quote, Goku found himself admiring the woman's courage and intellectual curiosity. She'd tracked unknown energy across the planet, approached aliens without hesitation. And now stood her ground before two beings who could vaporize her with a thought. I understand wanting to know more, he told her. But this stuff is dangerous. Really dangerous. I'm still learning to control it myself. Then let me help, Terelia proposed immediately. My sensors can provide objective measurement of energy containment and application. Data that could assist your training. While advancing scientific understanding. Mizumi raised an eyebrow. The human makes a logical point. External monitoring could provide valuable feedback. Goku considered this unexpected alliance of perspectives. Having a scientist's viewpoint alongside Aburga's cosmic knowledge and Mizumi's Saiyan context might actually prove useful. Plus, Terelia had already detected the energy, better to have her working with them than conducting independent investigations that might draw unwanted attention. Alright, he decided, but you'd need to coordinate with my current teacher. She's a bit particular about training protocols. Terelia nodded eagerly. I can adapt my research parameters to any reasonable constraints. When can I meet this teacher? Right now, if you want. Goku gestured toward Mizumi. I was about to take Commander Mizumi to meet her anyway. You can bring your aircraft and follow us. Actually, Mizumi interjected, I need to secure my vessel first. It's techno. OGY exceeds this world's development level and contains sensitive data. And I should collect more specialized equipment if I'm going to conduct proper studies, Terelia added. Goku nodded. That's fine. How about you both meet me at the World Martial Arts Tournament Arena tomorrow morning? The preliminary venue is empty this time of year, it's private and has space for demonstrations. Both women agreed to this arrangement, though for visibly different reasons. Mizumi's interest remained formal and protocol-driven, while Terelia practically vibrated with scientific excitement. As they parted ways, Mizumi returning to her ship, Terelia to her aircraft, Goku placed 2 fingers to his forehead, focusing on Aburga's distinct energy signature back at his home. Before teleporting, he CED once more at the unusual pair of women now drawn into his orbit by the cosmic anomaly he carried within. Something told him the complications were only beginning. Absolutely not, Aburga stated, her normally melodious voice carrying a note of divine authority that filled the Sun family kitchen. Inviting additional observers to your training introduces unnecessary variables and potential security breaches. Goku, seated across from her at the kitchen table, maintained his calm in the face of her rare display of emotion. They already know about the Hakai energy. Mizumi came specifically to investigate it, and Dr. Chambers has been tracking it for weeks with her equipment. Better to have them working with us than separately, right? Aburga's violet eyes narrowed fractionally, the celestial equivalent of a glare. A Universe 6 Saiyan with diplomatic authority and a human scientist with unprecedented detection technology. Both now focused on cosmic power they cannot possibly comprehend. This situation grows more complex by the day. That's why I thought you should meet them directly, Goku reasoned. You can assess them yourself, decide how much they should know. Chi-Chi, who had been listening silently while preparing dinner, finally joined the conversation. I think Goku's right. If people are already finding out about this energy thing, better to control how they learn about it. Aburga's gaze shifted to Chi-Chi, softening slightly. Over the weeks, a curious respect had developed between the divine being and the human woman, both, in their own ways, responsible for maintaining order in chaotic environments. Your perspective has merit, Aburga conceded. Controlled disclosure presents advantages over unregulated discovery. She returned her attention to Goku. The tournament venue provides adequate space and privacy for assessment. I will meet these individuals and determine appropriate boundaries for their involvement. Goku grinned, recognizing the closest thing to agreement he was likely to get. Great, I told them to meet us at the preliminary arena tomorrow morning. And I suppose you'll want to register for the tournament while you're there? Chi-Chi asked with knowing resignation. Might as well, Goku admitted. Gohan's excited about it, and it would be good to see everyone competing again. Peaceful competition, you know. Chi-Chi nodded, understanding the unspoken sentiment. After years of life or death battles against world-ending threats, the opportunity to fight for enjoyment rather than survival held significant appeal. Speaking of Gohan, she said, glancing at the clock, he should be back from studying with Den soon. I'd appreciate if you could limit discussion of these new complications around him. He's still a child, despite everything he's been through. Goku sobered, nodding agreement. Though Gohan had saved the world from Cell, both parents remained committed to providing him some semblance of normal childhood where possible. As Chi-Chi returned to dinner preparations, Aburga fixed Goku with that penetrating stare that seemed to access multiple timelines simultaneously. The convergence accelerates, she observed cryptically. Multiple interested parties drawn to the Hakai anomaly within an improbably compressed timeframe. This suggests intentional design rather than cosmic coincidence. Goku frowned. You think someone arranged for me to find that crystal? And for all these people to show up now? Consider the improbabilities, Aburga elaborated. A forbidden artifact app, ours precisely where a mortal with unique energy compatibility will encounter it. An angel in training is dispatched for retrieval rather than a full destroyer-angel pair. A Universe 6 Saiyan arrives WITH knowledge of prophecies directly applicable to current events. A human scientist develops technology capable of detecting divine energy specifically when such detection becomes relevant. Put that way, the coincidences did seem suspicious. But who could arrange all that? Who has that kind of power? Aburga's expression remained unreadable. Few entities possess sufficient cosmic influence. Fewer still would risk disrupting hierarchical balance for uncertain outcome. She paused, then added, among those few, only one specializes in temporal manipulation. Before Goku could ask for clarification, the front door opened as Gohan returned home, effectively ending the conversation. But Aburga's implication lingered in his thoughts throughout the evening. Someone was orchestrating EVE. Someone with the power to manipulate time itself. The World Martial Arts Tournament preliminary arena stood empty in the early morning light, its white stone tiles gleaming with recent cleaning in preparation for the upcoming championship. Banners announcing the tournament's revival hung from newly erected light posts, fluttering gently in the sea breeze. Goku and Aburga arrived first, having teleported directly to the location. The angel in training surveyed the venue with critical assessment, nodding slight approval at the open space and relative privacy. Acceptable for preliminary evaluation, she determined. Though true Hakai training requires greater isolation from population centers. Goku stretched, enjoying the familiar surroundings that held so many memories from his younger years. It's not about training today, just introducing everyone and figuring out how they might help. Your optimism regarding multi-species cooperation is noted, Aburga replied dryly. Before Goku could respond, the distinctive hum of Terralia's research aircraft approached. The sleek black vehicle settled onto the arena's edge, significantly more equipment visible through its transparent sections than the previous day. Terralia emerged moments later, laden with portable sensors and data tablets. Her expression brightened upon seeing Goku, though it shifted to cautious curiosity when she noticed Aburga. Good morning, she called, approaching with barely contained scientific enthusiasm. I brought a comprehensive sensor array calibrated specifically for quantum displacement fields. Based on yesterday's readings, I've already developed preliminary models for energy containment measurement. Good morning, Drive, Chambers, Goku returned warmly. This is Aburga, my instructor in energy control. Terelia turned her full attention to the disguised angel, scientific curiosity evident as she automatically directed a sensor toward her. Fascinating energy signature. MP elitely distinct from both Goku's and the other aliens' patterns. Are you from a third species entirely? My origins are irrelevant to your scientific inquiry, Auberga replied, her formal tone carrying subtle authority. Your detection technology, however, warrants explanation. Conventional physics lacks theoretical framework for identifying Hakai energy. Rather than being intimidated by Auberga's imperious manner, Terelia brightened at the technical question. You're absolutely right. Conventional instruments can't detect it directly. I developed quantum vacancy sensors after noticing gravitational micro-fluctuations following unexplained matter disappearance events. She activated a tablet, displaying complex waveforms. The energy creates what I call existence vacuums, spaces W. Here matter isn't converted to energy but simply ceases to participate in reality's equation. By measuring the boundary conditions of these vacuums, I can track the energy causing them. Auberga studied the display, genuine interest flickering across her perfect features. Ingenious adaptation of limited technological framework. Your species occasionally demonstrates surprising intuitive leaps despite developmental constraints. Terelia beamed at what she correctly interpreted as high praise. Thank you. The theoretical applications are endless, but I'm most interested in practical measurement. If Goku is learning to control this energy, objective feedback could accelerate his progress. A valid hypothesis, Auberga conceded. Mortal perception lacks sensitivity to divine energy fluctuations that precede control failure. As they discussed technical specifics, Goku sensed another approach, Mizumi's energy signature, moving with the controlled precision he'd noted previously. She appeared minutes later, walking through the arena's main entrance rather than flying, dressed in formal Saiyan attire that balanced diplomatic function with martial readiness. Commander Mizumi, Goku greeted her. Glad you could make it. Mizumi nodded acknowledgement before her attention fixed on Auberga. Recognition flashed in her violet eyes, followed by formal deference. She inclined her head, in what was clearly a gesture of cosmic protocol rather than mere politeness. Angel, she addressed Auberga, your presence confirms the gravity of this situation. I am Mizumi, Royal Guard Commander of Planet Sadala, Universe 6. I am aware of your identity and purpose, Auberga replied with equal formality. Your presence here indicates Universe 6's awareness of the anomaly. Only at the highest levels, Mizumi confirmed. My mission remains classified even within the royal court. Terelia observed this exchange with fascinated attention, her sensors discreetly recording everything. You recognize each other's species on sight, she noted, suggesting established diplomatic relations between your civilizations. The relationship transcends diplomatic convention, Auberga corrected. Cosmic hierarchy establishes defined protocols between celestial attendants and mortal authorities. Goku, sensing the conversation veering toward unnecessarily complex cosmic politics, stepped forward. I invited you both here so we could figure out how to work together. Each of you has knowledge or skills that might help me better understand and control this Hakai energy. An unconventional approach, Mizumi observed, but potentially valuable given the unprecedented nature of your situation. She turned to Auberga. The angel's instruction provides cosmic context, while my knowledge of Saiyan energy integration might offer heritage-specific insights. Terelia nodded eagerly, and my instruments can provide objective measurement of control parameters that might be difficult to assess subjectively. Auberga considered each speaker in turn, her violet eyes revealing nothing of her thoughts. Finally, she tapped her staff once on the arena tiles, the crystalline sound drawing everyone's attention. The convergence of interested parties suggests cosmic design beyond coincidental alignment, she stated. As such, I will permit structured observation and limited contribution under specific parameters. She fixed each woman with a penetrating gaze. Knowledge of Hakai energy carries inherent responsibility. Misuse of such knowledge, even indirectly, results in consequences beyond mortal comprehension. Both Terelia and Mizumi nodded their understanding of this warning, though with noticeably different reactions. Terelia's expression held scientific solemnity, recognition of ethical boundaries in research. Mizumi's response carried formal acknowledgement of cosmic protocol she already understood. Excellent, Goku said brightly, breaking the moment's tension. Now that that's settled, maybe a demonstration would help everyone understand where my training currently stands. He moved to the center of the arena, creating comfortable distance between himself and the observers. With practiced focus, he called forth a minimal amount of Hakai energy, allowing it to manifest as a small purple-black aura around his right index finger. This is basic manifestation, he explained. Just enough energy to affect small targets with precise control. He pointed toward a loose tile at the arena's edge. Hakai. The tile simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no disintegration process. Just immediate absence where solid matter had been. Terulia gasped audibly, her sensors whirring with activity, while Mizumi's eyes narrowed with professional assessment. Remarkable precision for a novice wielder. She commented. Your control exceeds expectations for training duration. Indeed, Aburga agreed. Goku demonstrates unusual aptitude for energy that typically resists mortal manipulation. Progression continues at accelerated rate. Terulia looked up from her readings, excitement evident. The energy projection maintains coherence throughout the erasure process. No decay, no dispersion pattern like conventional energy forms. She adjusted her glasses. If you don't mind, could you demonstrate again with increasing power levels? I'd like to establish a baseline scale. Goku glanced at Aburga, who gave a minimal nod of approval. Moving through a series of controlled demonstrations, he showed the current range of his Hakai manipulation, from erasing small objects with surgical precision to affecting larger targets with controlled area effect. Each demonstration brought different reactions: scientific fascination from Terulia, tactical assessment from Mizumi, and subtle approval from Aburga. After the final demonstration, erasing a large section of decorative wall with carefully contained effect radius, Goku allowed the Hakai energy to fully recede, returning to his normal state. That's about where my control is reliable, he explained. Anything more powerful gets unpredictable. Your progress is remarkable for the time frame, Mizumi acknowledged. Professional respect evident despite her formal demeanor. Though questions remain about how a mortal Saiyan achieves compatibility with divine energy at all. I have theories on that subject. Came a new voice from the arena entrance. All four turned to see a woman none had noticed enter. Of average height with light brown hair in a simple ponytail, she wore the uniform of a tournament official. Yet carried herself with subtle authority that immediately caught Aburga's attention. Kayasha, the angel in training, acknowledged, surprising the others with her recognition. Your presence was anticipated. The newcomer smiled, dropping her human disguise as she approached. Her form shimmered briefly before revealing her true appearance: lavender skin, white hair, and the distinctive attire of a Supreme Kai. Mizumi immediately straightened to attention, while Terulia's eyes widened at yet another clearly non-human entity. Supreme Kai of Universe 10, Kayasha introduced herself with formal dignity. I apologize for the theatrical entrance, but confirmation of certain patterns required direct observation. Goku studied her with open curiosity. You're different from the Supreme Kai I met before. He was from our universe. Each universe has its own assigned Kai, she explained. Though we rarely interact directly with mortal affairs outside our jurisdiction. Your situation, however, transcends normal jurisdictional boundaries. Mizumi stepped forward. Supreme Kai, your presence alongside an angel attendant suggests cosmic-level concern regarding this mortal's acquisition of Hakai energy. Our cosmic-level interest, Kayasha corrected gently. Not all attention from divine hierarchies indicates problems to be solved. Sometimes we observe potential to be nurtured. She turned her attention to Goku. Your path is unusual, Son Goku, but not necessarily contrary to cosmic design. The ancient texts of Universe 10 contain prophecies that align remarkably well with current events. Quote, more prophecies. Goku sighed. Mizumi mentioned something similar yesterday. The Sadalan texts and our own likely share common origin, Kayasha acknowledged with a nod toward Mizumi. Both speak of mortal hands wielding divine power at a crucial nexus point in multiversal history. Terulia, who had been recording everything with poorly concealed scientific excitement, finally spoke up. Excuse me, but are you suggesting predetermined cosmic events? That contradicts quantum uncertainty principles fundamental to reality's structure. Kayasha smiled at the human scientist. Your physics remains remarkably accurate within its limited frame of reference, drive. chambers. But cosmic design operates at levels where probability itself becomes malleable. She returned her attention to the group at large. The World Martial Arts Tournament approaches, a convergence point where multiple significant energies will gather. This provides ideal conditions for both assessment and preparation. Quote, "Preparation for what exactly?" Goku asked, a note of wariness entering his voice. He'd had enough experience with cosmic-level threats to recognize when something bigger loomed on the horizon. "That remains to be determined," Kaiosha answered carefully. "But the concentration of Hakai energy in mortal hands has created ripples across dimensions. Some of those ripples will inevitably return as waves." Before anyone could press for clarification, she continued, "I've taken position within the tournament organization to facilitate appropriate conditions for whatever may come. I suggest all of you participate in some capacity, competitor, observer, or official." "I've already planned to register as a competitor," Goku confirmed. "As will I," Mizumi declared, surprising the others. "Proper assessment requires combat observation under controlled conditions." Terelia nodded thoughtfully. "I can establish a comprehensive sensor network throughout the tournament grounds. The data collection opportunities are unprecedented." Aberga alone remained silent, her violet eyes fixed on Kaiosha with unspoken communication passing between the divine entities. Finally, she inclined her head in what appeared to be agreement to some unsaid proposal. "I shall observe in appropriate capacity," she stated simply. "Excellent," Kaiosha smiled. "Then, I believe we have established a framework for cooperation as events unfold." She turned specifically to Goku. "Continue your training with Aberga. Your progress with Hakai control remains crucial, regardless of what approaches." With formal farewells, the unusual gathering dispersed, Terelia to her research vessel, Mizumi to secure tournament registration, Kaiosha returning to her duties with the committee. Only Goku and Aberga remained in the arena, silence stretching between them until Goku finally spoke. "You know more than you're saying," he observed, surprising her with his perceptiveness. "About why all these people are suddenly interested in this energy, about these prophecies, about what's coming." Aberga regarded him with those ageless violet eyes. "Some knowledge must be earned through experience rather than granted through instruction. Your path unfolds as it must, son Goku." "That's not really an answer." "No," she agreed with unexpected candor. "It is not, but it is all I can offer at this juncture." Goku sighed, resigned to cosmic crypticness for now. "Then I guess we keep training." "Indeed," Aberga confirmed, a hint of something almost like affection warming her formal tone. "We continue preparation for whatever comes, as we have since the beginning." As they prepared to depart the arena, neither noticed the small crystalline butterfly that briefly materialized on a nearby pillar before dissolving into motes of light. The timeline continued its subtle adjustments, drawing players together for events yet to unfold. The stage was set, the tournament approached, and Hakai energy continued its integration with the most unlikely of vessels, a Saiyan warrior whose power had once again drawn him to the center of cosmic design. Chapter 2 End. The end. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.